everybody, it's Jim here. To save time, I've done some of the prep work. Today I'm going to be attempting my very first fret level. To start off, I'm going to be showing you what I've already done, going over it real briefly, talking about some of the tools that we're going to be using for today's job, and giving it a try. I've never done this before. Hopefully, it ends up okay. That's all we can ever ask for, right? So to begin with, you can see that the fretboard already taped up for the most part. With rosewood, not as big of a deal because it's unfinished and we're going to have to do some polishing of all the frets anyways. The frets are already marked on top with a marker. Also, I have to make sure here, one of the first most important tools, if you're going to do a job like this, you need a notched straight edge. And it needs to actually be straight. So, flip it around. Now, trick here is to make sure, I've already done this with the tape off, by the way. I'm just redoing it right now. I know it needs a little bit more. You want to make sure there's no light coming in anywhere. You want the neck as straight as possible. And yeah, these few frets, which is right in the truss rod area, you could use a little bit more. There we go. Let's try again. All right, looks good. So, again, not straight edge, really important. Now, when we crown, we're going to be using the Z file. All right, you can also see that I taped off all the pickups and the actual crevices that were holding the pickups in together. And honestly, we are good to go. I have pre-taped up. This is a StewMac fret bar. It could be used under the strings with regular tension on them, or it can be used in the way that we're going to be using it today, with the strings off in a more traditional manner. All right. And now normally I use the StewMac stand here, but the neck's a little too elevated with that, and since I don't have a pillow, having this seems like a better idea. So what I was told is go slow, let the bar do the work as far as the pressure goes. Here's the praying. Alright, I can still see a lot of it has come off here, and this is going to be tough to zoom in with because of the lighting and all that, but there are still several spots where I can see a fair amount on it, and that's where we're having problems with the frets. Anywhere where there's going to be markers still very apparent, that means that fret is too low with the rest of them. We're currently starting out with 320 grit. We'll get a few more passes. Do a quick check. That second fret, which was a major problem fret, that one's not good. Alright, we're still high on this last fret right here. A little bit. Alright, we'll give it one more pass. All right. Looking good. Still a little bit on fret 2 on the treble side. All right. Cool. That's sick. That fret's still high. Okay, so we have two problem frets still here. This guy and this guy. Everything else actually feels pretty decent. A little bit. Alright, still just right there on that one side. Now, I have no idea if what I'm doing is absolutely advisable. However, I'm getting really close to the result I want. If you have a better way of doing this, I would be all ears. However, that's really close now. And I'm not putting much pressure on that, and I'm not too worried about the look of it. Great. Great. Alright, now we gotta do the same thing as that fret. Yep. Alright, this one's a little tougher since it's near the body itself. As I hit the body. I was going to do a quick pass with 400 grit. One thing I am making sure to do though is not to use too much pressure and not do... Oh, that's it. Oh my god. Good. Alright, you know what? I'm happy with that. Yeah, but what I was saying is I'm trying not to use too much pressure with the actual bar itself. The bar has a decent amount of weight to it, this specific one. So yeah, this is great. Cool. All right, fairly level. At least to a level that I'm happy with. No pun intended. So what I'm gonna do now is, I'm gonna rip off all this tape real quick. Just wash my hands because you should be washing your hands when you're doing this. This is some gross stuff. And then we'll get to polishing and all that. And I also got a cut under here I want to make sure is going to be not having any of this stuff get into it. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm really happy with where the frets are right now. I had to take a break, but just as a recap here, I did use the fret bar from StewMac, and I ended up getting pretty good results from it. I have to say I'm not too dissatisfied, although that's only part of the battle here. We still have a few more steps to go. I'm going to use the Z file. This is the centered version of it to crown the frets. I've already marked the frets tops with the Sharpie again, because you got to do that to make sure, because you want to have it actually have a round kind of tip to it. You don't want it to be super flat on the frets. That's not ideal for performance. And then after that, I'll take the tape off of the pickups. I'm just leaving it there as kind of an extra bit of precaution. And if you can't notice, I actually made a bit of a mistake here. A little bit of the Sharpie kind of bled over I tried to apply the Sharpie while the tape was still on it, but when I was removing the tape, some of the Sharpie came off. Yeah, so things happen. I'll be able to clean it up, and now it's time to crown some frets. Alright, already working like a charm. I'm already noticing a lot of the line, the thickness of it is decreasing quite a bit from using the file. Really happy that this is the guitar we get to try this on. This could have been really dicey on one of my more precious instruments, but it's giving me a bit of confidence. And I like doing things myself. I'm not sure if all of you are like this, but I think sometimes I create unnecessary jobs out of guitar stuff. For example, like a pickup swap. Sometimes I'll swap pickups on a guitar that really it doesn't need it, because the stock pickups are fine and I'd be able to live, but I would just do it anyways for the sake of doing it, for experimentation, and because I just have fun messing with things. And same thing just in general, any sort of project, I like to figure out how it works, why it works the way it does, and I feel like you can never have too many skills. And if you can get skills in something like this, yes, you do have to invest in the tools, I understand that, but if you do it, you learn how to do it, you get better every time. Not only are you going to be saving yourself a lot of money, but there we go. I should have been doing that the whole time, see? I should have been going long ways about. Now it's flying. Super good. But that's the whole thing. It's just everything is trial, error. I'm not putting much force into this. The file itself is doing the majority of the heavy lifting. And it actually, again, it makes this feel very safe, very easy to do. Like, I'm not stressed. And the only other time I've attempted fretwork was a while ago. I tried to use a triangle file. It didn't go so well, and I was afraid of ever doing anything ever again with the frets on a guitar. And I mean, rightfully so. I botched that job like horribly, and it was one fret. It wasn't a whole board that I'm doing today. So, just a little bit different. That's the tough part. I'm realizing I didn't do so well up here. We're gonna have to go back and redo it, but it's tilting the file back just a little bit to make sure that you're getting the edge. But you don't want to do too much because you don't want to stretch the binding or the side of the guitar neck and risk damaging any of the finish. Now, if you just had a rosewood fingerboard, I think that not a big deal. You wouldn't really notice it, you wouldn't really see it, but when your pickguard or your guitar fretboard has really nice binding on it, like this one does, the Sheridan, you really don't want to screw that up. It's going to be very, very obvious. My little technique that I just taught myself about bending it towards the ends. See? A lot more difficult now. Alright, let's try and just catch it right like that. And I wonder how many jobs file like this will be able to do. A few more frets left. Alright, I gotta oil this thing up, and yeah, we'll continue onward. But crown the frets. Hooray! Polish is next. I had to cut the clips up because I wasn't able to do it all in one go straight away in the same day, but I'm happy with the fact that I did it. I'm gonna judge how this thing plays, and this will be my first time playing guitar in over a week, and yeah, I'm excited for it. But as it sits right now, I'm just noodling around with it with a basic setup to see just kind of how much I can push it as far as the action being as low as possible. Right now I am just under 1.3 millimeters, I believe, or 1.2 at the 12th fret on the treble side, and then 1.7 on the 12th fret on the bass side. So pretty low, all things considered. I got the truss rod dialed in to a level that I'm happy with as far as how the guitar seems to feel in the middle of the neck, and outside of that, I haven't changed anything. I'm gonna play it in just a second, but there were a few things I wanted to go over and things that I learned in case you're willing to do something like this on your own for the first time and you're apprehensive of doing so. The first mistake that I made, because I made a few, was picking a guitar that had binding on it as the first one that I tried this on. If I could do this again, I would do it on a guitar that did not have binding, 100%, because I made a few little errors, and you know, I didn't chew the thing up to death, but at the same time, there are things that are going to be there, you know, forever. However, not a big deal for this guitar because I'm not going to sell this guitar. This was from my father-in-law, and why I wanted to be the one that really put the work into it myself here. The second thing that I would recommend doing, when I had the tape on and I was initially doing the level, I had no problems at all with that. The fingerboard was obviously protected because the tape was on. Because the frets are pretty low on this instrument, I felt like the first pass or two that I was making with the Z file, I wasn't getting everything. So what I did was I removed the tape. And despite the fact that I went really slowly doing each fret with the Z file, the crowning file, again, I made some marks on the fingerboard itself. Is this the end of the world? No, it's rosewood. But if I was gonna be a little bit more careful, which I probably should have been looking back on it, I would have used something metal protector over each individual fret and filed it that way, or perhaps I would have taped it up again or just reapplied tape and gone from there. Really, a metal protector probably would have been the way to go about it. But all that being said, at the end of the day, it was kind of intimidating to do it, and I'm happy that I did this. I won't know exactly how this plays until a minute from now, but I did check everything with the fret rocker. I made sure that that was one thing that in between every single pass, I wanted to make sure that everything was okay so that I wasn't going to have a bigger problem later on. And yeah, it's just take your time and you'll be just fine, so to speak. Now, let this warm up. I didn't do any audio when I was polishing the frets. I used the FRTLZR because I use the FRTLZR and I love the FRTLZR. But there was one thing that, you know, if you guys are watching, Tim, I would say I would like there to be some sort of way for the actual sandpaper, because it's attached to rubber band to the actual component itself, for the sandpaper to be able to be pulled like on a pulley a little bit easier, and it would make everything so much faster, because as it stood, you would have seen in some of these clips here, I was kind of taking a minute, undoing the band, doing it again, and you have to do that a bit, especially when you're on the rougher grits. It wears pretty quickly on the sandpaper, and you find yourself doing that and doing that and doing that, and just kind of makes the process a little bit longer. The results, still fantastic, but something like that, just a small little thing that I would recommend maybe looking into if it's something else that other people have said. But for me, I'm very happy with the shine of the frets, and now I'm going to attempt to play guitar. No idea what I'm going to play. It's been a bit. Let's hear how it sounds. With the tuner off, it's probably a good start. Alright, no fretting out. Alright, bending's a little bit too much on my finger right now like that. I just wanted to make sure I was going to be able to have that ability to do that in the upper registers, and it looks like we did pretty good. I'll probably have to tweak this a little bit as far as the heights go. I feel like it's still a little low on this side. But all good on the treble side. So I'll have to tweak this a little bit. That's it for today. Thank you all for watching. We're gonna try this again on some other guitars, because obviously I got all the tools to do it from here on out, but I still don't feel great playing, if I'm being honest with you. I'm gonna give it a few more days. And hopefully, you know, I have other stuff up in the future. I do have a few other videos that were filmed beforehand, before I kind of wreck my finger in the garage door, but it is what it is. Don't want to push it. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, everybody.